a smelling victory, knowing by what all of them are stating that come August 12th, we are winning. The leadership movement is one of the parties that has expressed interest to want to take over leadership of this country for the next 5 years. But what is it that they're offering on the table for the people of Zambia? My guest this afternoon is Leadership Movement President, Dr. Richard Silumbe. We're discussing leadership movement's preparedness for the elections on August the 12th, this particular year. Dr. Silumbe, good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Election Watch.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me here.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Let's begin off with, I do know for a fact that many political parties currently are undergoing their conventions, or what you call them intra-party elections. The MDC currently is undergoing their intra-party election. We did see the DP undergo their convention. We also did see the UPND undergo their convention. When are we expecting leadership movement to go to a general conference?
Yes, concerning that, I think we expect you, the media, to be aware that we did the convention. We invited a number of media houses, and our program was done at the same day when the UPND did their convention, except that it was virtual as usual because we didn't expect many people to come. We had only provincial representation from each province, and the rest of the members were doing the voting from their places. We had a total of 300 participants in a convention. So that is behind us.
That is behind us.
Yes. So what we are looking now at, we are looking at strategizing how we get into the 2021 campaigns once the campaign is open.
Have you begun adopting members of parliament, councillors, chairpersons ahead of the elections? Have you already started adopting members that will contest?
We have a huge feedback and response from the people, from our grassroots. People want to stand as councillors, people want to stand as MPs, and so on and so forth. But we have scheduled the opening of applications on Monday next week. So on Monday we are having a press briefing where we are going to officially open receiving of application forms from people who are interested in standing as at the leadership movement ticket. So what we are saying is that our program is totally different from what we are seeing around, where the process of nomination is a process of fundraising, for instance. With the leadership movement, because we have seen what we are doing women empowerment, we are doing a lot of support at the grassroots, so we don't expect to make use of that as a fundraising program. Therefore, we are inviting all applicants to just apply for as long as they are eligible to stand.
Are you saying that if there's no fee attached to?
We do not have a fee
adoption
attached to the adoption, because we believe that we want to give much opportunities to even to the youths. For instance, we don't want to make use of this as a fundraising program, because we want to ensure that we give Zambians that opportunity.
But you don't do that, Dr. Silumbe, if you've got the capacity to sponsor everyone that will be adopted. Because what, for example, these other political parties are doing is that they're using the very money, they'll use the very money to channel it to, to campaigns. But if you're not going to do that as a leadership movement, then aren't you crippling down your financial capacity to ensure that you participate effectively come the 12th?
No, we don't think so. That is not enough. If we were to look at that amount as a campaign money, that wouldn't be enough. That is just a drop in an ocean. Looking at the number of people who are applying and what is required in the campaigns. So we expect to have people who are eligible to participate in the campaigns and also to participate in standing. So what we are doing, we want to open the space so that anybody who is capable, they feel that they are capable, and they are able to raise, for instance, an amount just to make themselves appear on the ballot, then with the party, we would want to give them a free rein, so that once we see that they are eligible from the point of view of the political party, because we're looking at the ideology of the leadership movement. We want somebody who is who has bought into the ideas of the leadership movement and what we stand for. For instance, we have 4 pillars in our manifesto. We have land to the Zambian people. We have jobs to Zambian youths. We have tax breaks and tax holidays to Zambian businesses. We have support your local team. Local is laka. So these 4 pillars, they sum up the leadership movement ideology.
I love the fact that you're speaking to the ideologies of the leadership movement. I'll give you a practical example of what other political parties say, and I'll pick on a friend and brother, Davis Miller, the Secretary General of the Patriotic Front. He says that the candidates that the party is going to adopt are candidates that are popular on the ground. That is the #1 criteria they'll follow. Above everything, one has to be very popular. What is the criteria on your adoption as a leadership movement? Will you look at the popularity of someone? Will you look at the understanding of the leadership movement's ideology? What is superseding the other in terms of what you use as a benchmark for adoption?
With the leadership movement, aside from what we see play on the political arena, as we have said, we don't want to play politics, because we don't want to be politicians who say things which they do not even intend to fulfill. In short, we are not politicians, we are reformers. What does that mean? It means that we put leadership at the center stage. We do not want to say whoever is popular, even if he doesn't intend to develop Zambia, or rather somebody who has no intentions of working for the people, as long as he's popular, then we adopt them for the sake of adoptions. That's not the idea of leadership movement. We are looking at leadership skills. We are looking at the ideology. What do they believe in? Do they believe in saving the people, for instance? Then those are the candidates that
even though they're not popular, Mr. President.
Popularity has got nothing to do with leadership. Leadership comes first, then popularity. That's where we have the process of campaigns. We have the leadership movement is doing mobilization at every grassroots. You see, so we have all that mechanism to make a candidate popular. And most of all these candidates that we are going to adopt, for instance, they should be able to do mobilization. So we are going to put that as an aspect for somebody to be adopted. But most importantly, they should exhibit leadership skills. They should be able to understand the leadership movement ideology, what we stand for as leadership movement. That is paramount.
Speaking to mobilization, an issue that you've spoken to, Mr. President, now we do know for a fact that we are hard hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. To what extent do you think this pandemic has posed a threat to your political party mobilization?
Well, this has posed, it's a threat to most opposition parties, because in an opposition state, you tend to have those difficulties because, let's face it, due to COVID, you cannot be given permit, for instance. You are unable to do mobilization in a way that we would want to do mobilization. But that being said, we are trying to innovate, to find ways and means to do mobilization. So that being said, we have devised other means of doing mobilization, and we are on the ground. That's why you are seeing we have programs, we have social media, we have the media, like Muvi TV and so many other TV stations that we are working with to enhance mobilization on the ground. We have people, foot soldiers on the grassroots. So that is a program that the party is taking advantage of to reach out to the people and intended would-be voters. Despite having difficulties, as you have seen, we should be moving at a different stage. But due to COVID and so many restrictions that come with the Public Order Act,
yeah,
and so on and so forth. So,
but we've also seen, Mr. President, just even amidst this pandemic, we've seen other political parties, such as the Patriotic Front, have gone doing their mobilization as business as usual. All right, we see many members of Parliament mobilizing huge crowds. Are you still going to remain in a cocoon that, look, first we're going to obey the COVID-19 protocols, or probably you're looking at it that, look, I think we also need to break the principles if we have to, hold the bull by its horn?
of course, we are doing our best in ensuring that we do the mobilization. And, what we want to ensure that we are progressing as a political party. We have seen what the ruling party has done, not only to the leadership movement, but also to many other political parties. We have had so many programs that we intended to do that, but they have been cancelled. And we think that time is not with us. We wouldn't be waiting. And even as I've been saying that we have these issues, it's not that we are seated. We are moving forward. We have so many devised methods of doing mobilization. Of course, we are not going to set up a rally so that we can be disturbed. As you have seen, so many cases have been crafted against the leadership movement. Just in a few months ago, we were dealing with so many issues to do with lack of permit and so on and so forth. So we want to ensure that we progress whilst not having people take advantage of our programs. So when you are on social media, for instance, no one is going to come and tell you, stop advertising your programs. If you have people on the ground, I think it would be difficult for people to stop the mobilization program. But it would be very easy to be stopped or to be disturbed if you set up a rally just because you feel that somebody in the ruling party has done that. We don't want to get into such confrontation.
Let's get to your strategy in terms of adoption. I do know for a fact that we touched a bit of it, but another aspect of it that we didn't touch is, I'll give you an example of the Socialist Party. Their strategy is to adopt as many young people as possible and as many women as possible ahead of these elections. Do you have any deliberate policy as the leadership movement on inculcating incorporating the minority groupings in society? Are you working on a strategy to ensure that maybe we have a huge turnout in terms of the women and the youth?
First of all, the leadership movement has been very clear. That's why I came with this manifesto. This manifesto it well highlights that we don't want to leave anybody behind. And whatever we are doing as a leadership movement, this is why you are going to see programs like women empowerment. We have a national women empowerment program where we are empowering women, helping them to get up with life, giving them startup capital and all that. What does that mean? It means that at the center of all this, we have vulnerable groups in our mind. This is the reason why we are not calling for huge sums of money for somebody to apply for adoption. It's because we know that there are so many people who are disadvantaged, whom we should be providing jobs when we get into power. And we want them also to access the possibility of them standing. So these are the things that we have put up in the adoption process. This is the reason why we have removed the issue of payment for as long as somebody has the will, has the energy to participate in an election, and most of all, they do understand our fundamental leadership movement programs that we have put up. So that is a strategy. We don't want to leave anybody behind. This is the reason if you have followed us, you will see that many of our programs, we have always tried to help out vulnerable groups, like people living with albinism, for instance. those people, we have the disabled, for instance. All these people, we want them to participate because that is what leadership calls for. We want to ensure that Zambia moves together. We shouldn't have gaffes because somebody hasn't got an opportunity. Therefore, they wouldn't participate in an election. So leadership movement is looking at these things differently. We want more women, more young people to participate. And we want, most of all, these people in vulnerable groups, people living with albinism, disabled people, and so many other people to participate, because Zambia is for everyone. We look at leadership as a holistic perspective, so that if there are other people coming from different sectors, they are going to have a voice in the same movement.
I do know for a fact, Mr. President, you spoke about, you know, the 4 pillars that you move by as the leadership movement. Getting into these elections, as we are preparing and putting everything together and forming a winning team for the elections, what are some of the key issues you are addressing in your campaign strategies?
All right, first of all, let me perhaps expand some of the pillars that we have. For instance, we are talking about land to the Zambian people. That's number one. We want to ensure that at the center of all this development, there is land. And we have let land to go to the hands of foreigners. We are seeing slowly but sure Zambia is being taken over by foreigners. Let's face it. We have seen Chinese people getting thousands of hectares of land from either government officials or chiefs. They get that land at a giveaway price. They evict thousands of settlers there, and they set up some company there. Now, that is failure of leadership, because we know that as this trend continues, we are going to have a country where Zambians are just squatters in their own country. We don't want our young people, our children, to start fighting for independence again in 2050. We want to ensure that land with title deeds is owned by Zambian people. When we come into power, we want to ensure that every person who has a piece of land, they own it with title deeds. That will ensure that they have their birthright, because land is our birthright. We don't need to lose our birthright to foreigners. When we look at investment, these foreign investors, they need to come here, partner with the Zambian people, and ensure that they use title deeds that are written in Zambia as they are crafting a business. So that if you have a title and a foreigner comes, they set up a company there, you'll be getting a monthly payment. Even when your children will be getting a share from that company, because that is their land, unlike what we are seeing today. And most of all, we want to ensure that we own land with title deeds, in a sense that we empower our peasant farmers. Today, when you look at these farmers, they have been relegated to beggars because they only wait for FISIP. Here is somebody who has 1,000 hectares of land, and yet he cannot afford to buy a bag of seed or a bag of fertilizer. He has to wait for government to give them FISIP. This is what we want to change as a leadership movement. We are going to ensure that that person, all these people who have a piece of land where they are doing cultivation, they have title deeds. What will be that they are going to use those title deeds to walk into a bank, get access money, buy themselves fertilizer on time, buy themselves seed on time, and buy themselves a tractor, for instance, to be able to till that piece of land, produce food, enough product, and be able to export if they so wish. We want our farmers to view agriculture as a business. This is what has happened to the states. No wonder you see America is like that, because they gave title deeds to their farmers. That title gives a way for somebody to access money, because we have converted that land into something that has got value. Unlike what we are seeing today, we have farmers, settlers, villagers living on a piece of land that do not have value. I was following a situation in Serenge where a chief sold 3,000 hectares of land to some foreign investor. Then that investor bought it at 300,000, bought a car which has broken down by now in 300,000 kwacha. Those investors, they got that land, came to Lusaka. Within 3 days, they were assured title deeds. They put it on title, and they are doing their programs there, and thousands of people have been evicted from that land. People whose land was their birthright, now they are squatters. So we don't want that, because we know that land only assumes value when it is on title. When we give every person title deeds, all those people who have a piece of land, title deeds, it means that that land, and somebody is able to use that land as startup capital. They should be able to walk into any bank and get a loan and be able to use that money to invest on that land and be able to produce and sell wherever they want to sell. That is the kind of mindset we want to bring in this country. We want to ensure that we own our land. We don't need to lose our birthright. And moreover, we don't have to let Zambian people to start fighting for independence again, because in our national anthem, we say land is our plight. Now, today, you are seeing leadership that do not even talk about land. They no longer know what are the values for this country, and we are slowly dishing out this land. These people we are giving, these foreigners, giving them title deeds. Tomorrow it will be difficult to get that land from them, because they would have become Zambians, and they would have, some of them would be living outside the country, but they'll be controlling a piece of Zambia. Because wherever you give a piece of land to a foreigner, it is almost like selling a part of the country. So we want to safeguard that. And at the same time, we want to ensure that we translate land into value that has liquidity to every Zambian settler, starting from villagers and anybody, so that whenever foreigners come to Zambia, they should be able to look at which Zambians they are going to partner with and get land, because they are the landlords, and be able to set up a company there, and those people, they will have a share in that company. They will be getting something, even if they may not be as innovative as we might wish, but because they have something, their birthright, a foreigner will respect them. They will be able to use their title deeds and together create value and revenue, and their children and children's children's life will be guaranteed, because they are the owners of that land.
Let's get to another critical issue that you're addressing in your campaign.
Apart from that, we want to ensure that we provide jobs to the Zambian people, the Zambian youths, to be specific. Why do we talk about jobs to the Zambian young people? It's because we realize as leadership movement that the young people, the energy of the youth, is the most important value and revenue that we have. It is a natural resource. Any country that has developed today, be it the UK, Australia, Britain, they are where they are today because they have managed to translate the energy of the youth into enough capital or value that rocketed their development. Here in Zambia, we have millions of young people languishing in the streets, and we have foreigners coming into Zambia, and we believe that we are going to develop this country when millions of young people are languishing in the streets. There can never be development for as long as the most important part of our human resource is languishing in the streets. We need to absorb this human resource, make use of it, and once we use this, we are going to see development. How do we use the energy of the youth? Is to ensure that we are productive as a country. Put them into production, because we know that everybody has got something to contribute to the development of this country. Anybody who has energy has something to contribute. So we want to ensure that everybody participates in the economy. We want to ensure that we provide, we put up state farms in every district. Every district is going to have state farms, so that we are able to produce enough food, enough maize, enough mealie meal, so that we are able to export to Congo, export to Zimbabwe, export everywhere. Today what we are seeing is, we are seeing ZNS surrounding the borders. You go to Mikambo, you see ZNS stopping people from selling their maize, their mealie meal to Congo. Why? Because here we feel we have not enough food, simply because we are not productive. We want to change that. That is a business opportunity. We want to ensure that we produce more in Zambia, feed Congo, feed Zimbabwe, and we are going to get forex out of that. By so doing, we are not only going to reduce the cost of mealie meal here in Zambia from the current 150 to 20 kwacha, but we are also going to ensure that we get a lot of revenue from Congo. There at the border in Mikambo Post, when you are here in Zambia, we are buying a bag of mealie meal around 140 kwacha. When you go there, just across the border, you are going to see it costing at 700 kwacha, 800 kwacha. That is revenue. That is profit. And we want to ensure that we encourage our farmers to sell their maize, and the excess maize that we're going to produce as leadership movement under state farms, we're going to export it and get enough forex. We know that production is the game changer in all this economic mess. That productive, we are never going to develop. Leadership movement wants to bring the energy of the youth at the center of production. We want to bring back Kapiri glass. We want to bring back Mansa batteries. We want to bring back all these companies like Kafue Textiles, Mulungush Textiles, all these things that we have neglected, so that we produce. And once we are productive, you are going to see this economy turning around. We have given our natural resources to foreigners. Right now, we are seeing a lot of trucks taking copper outside. Copper is now costing at 9,000 US dollars per ton. Very expensive. And yet we are not seeing any change in this country. We have given our gold to foreigners. In Lumwana there is gold, there is uranium, the most expensive natural resource. And we are just around. Manganese is going. The Chinese are digging manganese. We have cobalt, it's going out of this country. Leadership movement is saying enough is enough. We have to own these products that are tangible and ensure that we audit all our natural resources. Leadership movement is not going to allow any mineral resource to leave the country in our borders until we know how much we are getting from it.
You've been very
and
consistent.
most of all, we want to ensure that we add value to our products. For instance, we are selling copper rods. We don't even know how they use those rods wherever they go. We want to send experts to China to go and see what specifications of cables do they make from our copper, so that we start producing here. Then we are going to keep jobs here, and we are going to sell to export only finished products. That means that we are going to have value as a country, because between raw materials and finished products, there are a lot of jobs in the middle. When you sell raw materials, you actually export jobs out of the country. So this is what we want to stop as a leadership movement. We know that when we do this, we'll be seeing development very much in this country, because we have seen, let's face it, I'm sure you have followed how the CEO for Glencore was boasting in the UK that they bought KCM at 25 million US dollars. Within 3 months, they made profit more than 75 million, and they paid off the 25 million because they think we are fools and nobody would follow them. Nobody knows the value of our own things.
Mr. President,
so we want to bring back
on
those
how
values.
we are not happy with currently how the foreigners are transacting the deals in our country. Let's get to when you form government in 2021. How will you how will your relationship be like with foreigners?
First of all, I do believe and I know that foreigners do not come to Zambia to develop Mother Zambia. Foreigners come here as conquerors. They come to conquer. They come to get profit. I can give you simple examples of the copper belts. When ZCCM was there, copper belt was a livable place. We had Chingola, the best town in Zambia. Mufulira was a livable place. When we sold these mines to the foreigners, what is happening in the copper belt today? When you go to Mufulira, you would think you are in Baghdad, in a war zone, where missiles have been falling again and again. Why? Because their interest is just profit. They get profit and they go. There is nothing about development. So it's high time we Zambians started to learn that we need to own our mines. We need to own our businesses. When I say this, I don't mean that I hate foreigners or foreign investors. I simply know that we need to have a priority. Our priority are the Zambian investors, our own people. This is the reason why I'll come to point 3, where I'm saying we are going to give tax breaks and tax holidays to Zambian businesses so that they can grow bigger and better. And in the near future, we ensure that we close down on foreign investors. Why we are depending on foreign investors today? It's because we have not nurtured our own people. And these people, they do not come here as good Samaritans to develop Mother Zambia. They come here to make profit. But even then, we need to strike a balance. We don't need to give away the country and expect foreigners to run their affairs. For instance, like in the mines, where we have literally given up the mining sector. And what we are seeing is copper is appreciated in anything. We need to be strategic. In 2050, the whole world will change into electric cars. We are going to have electric cars everywhere. And 2 countries will be at the center of production, Chile and Zambia. But what have we done to our copper? We have given it to foreigners. They're in the hands of foreigners. It means that when that time comes, we are not going to get enough value from the electric car industry, because the most important part of electric cars will be motors. Those are copper wires. And when that time comes, copper will be on demand. So we need to be strategic. And I don't subscribe to these so-called intellectuals or technocrats who believe that we cannot run the mines. I always take people to history, that before 1900, we used to have copper bangles being made in Kaflafuta. Copper ore was actually smelted and they make copper bangles. Before 1900, we used to have hoes and spears during that time, made by the Zambian people. Until then, when this colonial government came and it banned all that, all blacksmith, until you have that metal should be written made in Britain. And they ensured that everything should be exported. Anything to do with copper, anything to do with iron ore, products should be imported from Britain. That's how they killed the innovation around the mining sector. So now, after years, more than 50 years, this is around 60 years now, we need to start thinking anew. We need to remove the colonial mindset that has been inculcated in our education system to almost believe that we cannot run the mines. When in Chile, indigenous Chilean citizens, they are the people who run those mines. Why should it be like that here? It's simply because of that disturbance of colonialism, which unfortunately has allowed people to believe that they can't just handle it. When Chinese, we see how mines are made. Somebody will be just in a small piece of land, they are digging, they are making holes, they are mining copper, they are mining everywhere. But you don't see Zambians participate in this because of the colonial mindset that has set in, and they have believed that actually we cannot do this. And yet our forefathers, years back, they used to do that. So we need to just jumpstart our mindset and start believing that we can start producing again.
Yeah. Mr. President,
we can start handling these mines.
We have about 4 months and 2 weeks to go before the elections. Opposition political parties are consolidating relationships and are forming, electoral pacts. Are you looking forward to enter into a pact? Are you looking forward to enter into a coalition ahead of these elections? First of all, working together, there's nothing wrong with working together. Actually,
we can only develop when Zambians work together, when everybody's working together. But the question is, what are we doing together? What is the issue at hand? We need to create fundamentals. For instance, the purpose of going into an electoral pact, is it because we want to stop the Chinese and all these other foreigners from getting our land? Are we going to secure our land to the Zambian people? If that's the answer, yes, I subscribe to that pact. Are we here to pledge that we are going to take our young people out of the streets and give them jobs? What is the roadmap for absorbing our youth so that we become productive as a country? Are there those tangible ideas? Then I subscribe to that. Are we going to ensure that we start nurturing our local investors, local businesses? Are we there to be able to ensure that we grow this economy as Zambians? Then I subscribe to that pact. Are we supporting our local team? Are we believing that local is lacquer? Are we not talking about debt, loans, and all that, those things that we hate as leadership movement, because we believe that we can make money from within? We know that America is where it is today because they thought, they put their energy of the youth to work, they made use of their natural resources, they produced products, they sold to the other countries, and they got money out of that, and they grew bigger and better. The UK did the same. Australia did the same. No wonder they are where they are. Why should we believe in loans? Why should we believe in getting money, reducing the whole country into a beggar? The whole country is just like somebody seated on the streets asking for a coin. You see? That is not the kind of mindset that we want.
That these pacts that, tell us that they're addressing. The issues they're speaking to, to ensure that Zambia is, is a country that is free from corruption. Zambia belongs to Zambians, and all those issues, Mr. President, you're speaking to are issues that we are told that some of these electoral pacts are addressing.
So give me an example of that electoral pact that has put all those in place to say, this is what we are fighting for, and this is what we are going to live by, and I'll be the first person to subscribe to it, because at the end of the day, we put Zambians first. We want to look at the Zambian people. We don't want to look at abstract issues, abstract struggle for power, or abstract...
Time is not really our best ally. I'll allow you to give your last remarks, Mr. President.
Yes.
I'll allow you to give your last remarks.
Thank you very much. Actually, what I would want to say at the end of this is that we, as leadership movement, maybe just to follow up on this question, we want to believe that we ourselves can do it. And we are in a mission to deliver the great gift to future generations, the great Zambia. We are here to ensure that we help our mothers through national women empowerment, which we are doing currently. And we are here to ensure that we absorb as many young people towards productivity.
From where you're seated, what is the likelihood that you're going to form government in this year?
The likelihood is very certain. The likelihood depends on the inputs that we have. Between today and 12th August, we are on the ground, and there is high possibility. This is a battle that we are fighting, and we want to achieve it. We are very positive about it, and want to ensure that the Zambian people, those who believe in the fundamentals of development, they join us and we fight together. As I have said, we want to make a pact, and the pact is with the Zambian people, not with politicians, not with anybody, because we want to ensure that we deliver the great gift to future generations.
Dr. Richard Silumbe, President of the Leadership Movement, thank you so much for having made time to appear on Election Watch.
Thank you very much.
All right, there you have it. I've been speaking to Dr. Richard Silumbe, President of the Leadership Movement. Is he the right man for the job? Yours is to make a decision. My name is Andrew Mwanza, on behalf of my producer and director, Elas Chulu. For now, good afternoon, and see you this evening at exactly 20 as I speak to Honorable Ronald Chitetela as we continue discussing issues that pertain to national interest.